In this video, we'll be checking out our top 5 cute companions from Ark Survival Ascended. These shall all be custom and original modded creatures available on the CurseForge platform. And if you'd like to see more of these top 5 videos, don't forget to hit subscribe and follow the channel. Starting off at number 5, we have the largest creature of our list, the Aussie Edition's Muttaburrasaurus by Australian Nick. Muttaburrasaurus is a large and skittish herbivorous dino that can be found in the jungles and plains, alongside scorched earth green desert, oasis and canyons, and in Extinction's city centre and the desert dome. They can be found roaming in herds and have a very harmless, almost goofy disposition, as they have the faces of a totally harmless and friendly creature, and some say that if you get a real good look at their faces, you might even notice their eyes blinking out of sync. Despite Muttaburra being one of the more heftier creatures among the Arks, their maths do them no favours, as these guys are absolute cowards. While met in combat by either a carnivore or an opportunistic survivor, they will simply screech and run. Although when attempting to tame yourself in Muttaburra, their screeches will actually attract the presence of other, larger, more mean creatures to defend it and to attack the survivor, while the Muttaburra simply runs away and visibly be spotted hunched down and cowering in the distance. Muttaburra are also rather musical creatures, where their screeches and calls mimic that of other dinosaurs, not just to come to their defense, but to buff you and your allies with a benefit fitting to that of the dinosaur it is mimicking, such as the raptor call for extra movement speed, the baryonyx for extra swim speed, Stegosaurus for damage resistance, and so much more. So despite their cowardly demeanour, they are actually excellent for both boss encounters and general utility. Coming up next at number 4, we have the Magna Gecko by CyrusCreates. Now, who doesn't love a tiny little gecko? The Magna Gecko can be found spawning in beaches and forests, and they come in a massive variety of colours, so any survivor can pick and choose or breed a collective of Magna Geckos to combine and get your favourite colours. These tiny little companions are passive tame which enjoy matched bugs, and thus once tamed they can be picked up and carried on your shoulders. They have all the typical utility as other shoulder pets, such as reduced inventory weight. However, they do have the special ability to drop their tail and distract attackers. This can be found out in the wild, where any wild geckos, when attacked, will drop their tail and run, or even on your own tamed geckos, where if they are equipped on your shoulder, you can command them to drop their tail immediately, and this will grant the survivor 20 seconds to immunity from aggro. Or alternatively, you can also use a metal hatchet on your tamed gecko to harvest its tail manually. These regrow every 10 minutes, and they make for the perfect taming traps or diversions. This of course does leave the gecko unharmed, albeit missing a rather vital appendage. Next up at number 3, we have the Cryptoclidus from Paleoark Evo Plus Native Aquatics by the Paleoark team. The Cryptoclidus are pint-sized plesiosaurs and probably the closest thing we have in Ark to that of seals, for they both have beady black eyes and a very playful demeanour, as Cryptoclidus can be found flipping about in the ocean, swimming in a wonderful display, and can be found clambering onto land and looking just a little bit helpless. Compared to the other contestants on this list, Cryptoclidus is the only ocean creature and probably sports the most useful utility of all, since this adorable little sea puppy is by definition stealthy. They do not get attacked by wild creatures unless getting a little too close to their personal space, which allows a crypto to be a wonderful scout. They are speedy, stealthy, excellent swimmers that can traverse onto land when required in a pinch. They can hop out of the ocean and do a flip, and they can even produce a special substance that, when fed to other tamed creatures, will make them immune to the stings of jellyfish. Not to mention that the Cryptoclidus just has a wonderful cosmetic roar, and how can you say no to a bark like that? Flying in at number 2, we have the Enantiophoenix by Xyphias. These tiny protobirds can be found peacefully flying in a redwood forest. They require good old tree sap to tame, and once tamed will produce their own tree sap over time in their inventories. Enantiophoenix is totally peaceful, skittish survivors, and are exceptionally tiny. They can be quite tricky to spot in the wild, however they produce lovely music which you can hear from a great distance, and are ever present in the trees not just in the redwoods but also in the subterranean depths of aberration. Although, despite being tiny, skittish, and hard to spot, Enantiophoenix sport the most unique ability of all, and that is the unique behaviour to perch and hang out with both wild and tamed creatures alike. Both wild and tamed Enantiophoenixes will find a cuddly spot to sit on other creatures, whether tamed or wild, and depending on the size of the creature, they may house to a larger flock of protobirds. This can also be beneficial when trying to find wild Enantiophoenixes since, as mentioned, they're so small to spot. But if you are lucky, you might find one perched on the horn of a rhinoceros or the tusks of a mammoth, or even on some smaller creatures yet. Between their one-of-a-kind ability to perch and their wonderful music, Enantiophoenix produce a great ambience that is never before seen in Ark, and can add a lot of life and a lot of cuteness to your adventures. Though it's worth mentioning that something so small and so wonderful also has the sneaky ability to disable enemy turrets. So these little friends actually have a use in PvP. And thus, coming up at number 1, we have the Protoceratops from the Sunken World Editions by the TSW team. Protoceratops is a small, rideable herbivore which can be found spawning in the beaches of pretty much every map and every early game area. They are a fantastic early game companion, requiring only berries and fruit for their passive tame, and their saddles are unlockable at level 10. These dwarf ceratopsians have a playful demeanor, where their walking animation has a fun bounce to it, making it look like that Protoceratops are scampering among the beaches. As well as being generally one of the smaller mounts that players can ride, they're dwarfed by pretty much everything else. But what really adds to the Protoceratops' charm is that when breaking down trees and gathering resources, instead of thatch or wood, they instead gather custom fruits. And the Protoceratops is a big fan of these fruits, for when fed, it'll gain the sugar frenzy buff. This causes the little guy to run significantly faster, speeding about all over the place. Not to mention that when giving it a close look, you can see it shaking and jittering under the effects of sugar frenzy, in addition to small little fruit icons flying around his head as if all I can think about are the sugary fruits it harvests. But this little sweet tooth fiend is more than just sugar and speed, for it's also a pretty decent swimmer, and it sports the same type of howl that parasaurs have, where they can scare away small creatures, keeping you and your sugary companion safe. And thus, altogether, we think the Protoceratops has a lot of spirit, a lot of heart, and is an adorable yet useful early game companion. And that is our top 5 cute companions from Ark Survival Ascended. What do you think of this list? Is there anything you'd add to it? Or perhaps we've missed out on any mods available on the CurseForge platform? Please feel free to let us know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more of these, like and subscribe for more Ark Ascended mods videos, and keep an eye out for future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.